So we've been having one conversation. Now for the next 15 minutes, 20 minutes, we're going to have a different one. And this is about all the other businesses that touch your business. And this was a shock to me. The more I got into this, the more agitated, the more upset. I was telling, of course my wife says I'm a mess anyway, but all of us, when we wrote the one thing, I talked about clenching my butt and clenching my stomach, and I literally cured all that only this year to start clenching my teeth. And it's been over this issue right here. And that is literally when they say follow the money, track the money. In this case, you can track the leads and the data, right? In other words, if you look at all the businesses that touch our industry, we have a problem. And the problem that we have to solve is that all of them, just like I showed you the timeline of Metropolitan Life and Prudential and Merrill Lynch, they're all coming back. They are all coming back, and what they are going to do is they're going to offer you leads in return for your data, or they're going to offer you a software program or some solution in return for your data. And it's going to happen in every business category that touches yours, right? So we look at mortgage, and the big aha we had here was around appraisals. So we were literally looking at the mortgage industry, and then we went, holy cow, the reason why these AVMs don't work very well is that MLS data alone doesn't give you the right price. It can't do it. It can only do it at the very, very lowest end of pricing. The second they're variables, that data doesn't exist. So immediately, this is where Google comes in, right? Immediately, they start accumulating all the appraisals. They want the appraisals. But by the way, House Canaries figured out the appraisal by itself isn't enough.
That's right.
Yes, it's not enough. But if you look at the mortgage industry, they're going right after your appraisals. They're going right after the buyer. They're going back about all the information. We jumped over to property, and we'll get back to mortgage in just a second.
We're here.
Right? Yeah. Because that's fully in labs and has been in labs now for a fair amount of time. Yes. So we'll get back and talk about that. When we looked at all of this, and starting with mortgage and looking at property management, looking at insurance, the thing we understood is we either had to partner with them where we keep the data, or we had to go in that business in order to set the relationship between you and them. Do you hear that? In other words, we have to tame the tail. We're still the dog. You understand that? But we have to, okay, as long as you understand that. I did not wake up in the morning and say, oh my gosh, not only are we going to be a tech company, we have to completely reinvent the company in a short period of time. We have to either go into these businesses or partner in all these businesses. Do you think we've been busy? Folks, we've been very busy on your behalf. So we'll get back to mortgage in a second. So we get to property management, and now I'm really completely weirded out. And I'm weirded out because property management is the real estate industry, and it is the holy grail. It is the holy grail of data, right? In other words, you have everything on a person who can't buy a house. The world knows all that data, right? The mortgage knows who the buyer is if they buy. The property management industry knows who all those people are, right? Over 60% of all Americans are tenants, and somebody has that knowledge. And where does it sit? In the property management software is where it sits. By the way, every home that is in the property management, they have the property management inspection data. And how often is that updated? At the worst, once a year. Some are aggressive every 6 months. We looked up and went, oh my gosh, whoever has and by the way, if you use off-the-shelf property management software, who owns the data?
They do.
You don't. You don't. You don't. That's why property management software companies right now are trading at massive, massive multiples. Not because of the money they make off of the property management software fee. Why are they trading at these huge multiples? Then we jumped to insurance and we just freaked out again, right? All you have to do is point back to the history of Metropolitan Life and Prudential, on and on and on. And you look up and you realize that, oh my gosh, they want the data too. So with that, we don't want to be an insurance company. So we went out and started talking to the major carriers. And what we were told from them, which we found was awesome and interesting, is that if we have the correct data from the buyer and the house, immediately, and I'm talking about this year, we can literally give an easy button to our buyers to get the most accurate quotes and the quickest quotes on insurance they can get on the planet. Now that's just a start. But here's the cooler thing. The cooler thing is, over time, as we begin to give, as our buyers choose those carriers, and they begin to look at this thing called the risk profile, and they begin to understand what the true risk profile is of the buyers in Boston, the home buyers in Boston, or in that region, or that state, or whatever, they can go back to their states and they can file for what's called a risk profile discount. Meaning that in any place that they find that that the risk profile is different than what they thought it was, because they have more data. They have the most accurate data possible to price out insurance. You could be the only company on the planet, and this doesn't have to take that long, where you can literally tell the buyer, we could actually save you money on your insurance. The only one. So guess what? The carriers have started hiring, in anticipation of this, major carriers that I won't mention today, but are names that you hear every day in the news, have already started hiring people. They have literally started hiring people. They have brought in their data programmers, and they began to program to couple up to you in order to ultimately save money. So understand again, wherever we can save the consumer money, we're going to do it. If we can't save them money, then we're going to literally partner up so that at least we have the data and we can keep them out of our business. Does that make sense? Oh yeah. I did not wake up one day and say, I want to be in mortgage, or I want to be in property management, or I want to partner with the insurance industry. We have no choice. By the way, you have a choice, but I don't. On your behalf, we're going. So with that being,
Well, I was going to say, every time we've had this conversation, there are so many companies out there, they're in these spaces that are willing to do the real estate for free to sell these products.
Well,
so we have to flip that equation.
Yes. Let me tell you the future. The future, and it's very clear. You can see it. We don't know when, but we see it now. And that is, at some point in the not too distant future, the buying of a home will just have a bundled price. The selling of a home will have a bundled price. In other words, it's going to cost you X number of dollars in fees to buy a home or to sell a home. And it won't actually distinguish between your commission or an origination fee or an insurance. It won't matter. It'll just be, here's the packaged deal. When we realized that, we ran to these businesses so fast on your behalf. And the reason why is because understand that if it's the mortgage company doing it, they're not going to discount themselves, they're going to discount you. If it's property management, if it's insurance, whether it be property insurance or title insurance.
And this is starting to happen already.
This actually is happening. Yeah. This is already starting to happen. They're going to bundle this up. So by the way, because we happen to be in the real estate business, who are we going to bundle up?
Them.
Everybody else. Now, this is not going to make us popular. And it's definitely not going to make us popular in the short run with some of your marketing service agreement or relationships. And I apologize, and I have no choice. And I'm sorry about that, but I have no choice. Okay? So let's talk about that for a second. So Smokey,
yes, sir.
So let's talk about mortgage. So tell me just a little about yourself real quick.
A little about me. I've been in the real estate business for 22 years. Right out of college, went into real estate, joined Keller Williams in 2000. Ran a team, did about $1 million in GCI. 2007, I stepped out of my real estate business and stepped into the leadership path. So moved into team leader. At that point, I really found where my passions were and what I enjoyed doing. I loved helping people, helping real estate agents, helping grow other people's businesses. From there, I own several market centers, and I'm also regional director of North Texas, New Mexico, and Memphis.
All right. So let's take a few minutes and let's explain, because now Property insurance starts its labs in 2 weeks as we partner with our agents to figure out the ins and outs of that. Property management has already been in labs, but it will start its formal labs as we customize the software that we bought to our specific needs. I believe in maybe 60 days or 90 days, somewhere in that range. Okay. But Keller Mortgage has been in labs now for a while.
We have. We've been in labs for about 9 months.
Yep. So I'm going to ask you just a series of questions, and that is, first off, why was Keller Mortgage created?
Okay, well,
we know why.
It's weird sitting here telling your story, but I mean, at the same time, you said it. I mean, when you first told me about this, you didn't create Keller Mortgage because you had to. I mean, because you wanted to. You created Keller Mortgage because you had to.
No, I had no choice.
And absolutely, and as you looked at this, and I've heard you say this many times, it kind of comes back to, you said you'll give away all products to protect the real estate commission.
Yes, I will burn the house down.
And absolutely, and you've been 100% committed to that. I think the conversations are changing. I think the conversations have already changed in many cases.
They have.
In the customer side and in the real estate business. This is changing the conversation on the mortgage business.
Yeah, the players, the comment that I've made is that the players are already set. You're not, the categories have already been picked and the players have already been set.
Right.
2018 and early 2019, all this plays out in real time in front of us, and the decisions will be made.
Right, absolutely.
Yep. So we know why we did it, right? So tell me what it is.
Okay. Well, I do want to be clear first, because this has been kind of confusing as we've kind of rolled this out. Keller Mortgage is not a new mortgage company. We're not testing to see if the mortgage company is going to work. The mortgage company's been around for 10 years.
We bought it.
Yeah,
we bought it.
Yep.
It lives in Ohio.
About 3 years ago, you guys, you bought the mortgage company. And so what we are testing, and what not testing, what we are rolling out into labs is the 0+ loan.
Yeah, so we started this company. The reason we bought it was because it was licensed in most of the states to do business. It was an internet-based business. And it did business in most of the states, and it was in the refi business.
Right.
And it was very traditional, right? Great people, but, right. So we literally had to survive through that and flip it, and then experiment.
Right.
Yeah, so the first year to year and a half for Keller Mortgage was nothing more than just experimentation. And then you finally stepped into that right there.
Absolutely.
So what is that?
Well, what the 0+ loan is, that's where it gets fun. That's where it's an exclusive Keller Williams product. And so what that means is, if you were working with a Keller Williams agent as a buyer, if you're purchasing a Keller Williams listing, you have access to this. Or if you're being referred by a Keller Williams agent to refi your home, you now have access to the 0+ loan.
What does zero mean?
What that is zero, no origination fee, no lender fees, and actually $1,000 back at closing for any home over $150,000.
And what's the plus? And the plus is the best mortgage rate you can get?
Plus is the best mortgage rate you can get. On average, what it is for a $250,000 loan amount, on average it saves everybody about $5,000.
Right, exactly. Yep, that's what it is. Yep, mortgage industry doesn't like us, and we don't care. Property management isn't going to like us. Insurance isn't going to like us. None of them are going to like us. I'm telling you right now, they're not going to like us. What we did with profit share, what we're fixing to do to the mortgage industry, the rules are going to get rewritten, folks, and they're going to be written big. And just so you understand, we're going to rewrite the rules on any business that touches yours. And you're just going to have to accept that, because it's coming.
Well, and I think if you don't...
You clap now. You're not going to be totally happy, but trust me. You're going to be in business.
It's going to be rewritten either way. It's just who gets to write it. Who gets to tell the story.
So who labbed this in 2017?
So who's labbed it? We have began the launch process with this with 37 market centers, and in about 4 different markets. All right, and so in 2017, we've got a lot of data. We've learned a lot of stuff. We've improved a lot.
So how's it working?
How's it working? That's the fun part. And I think like anything else, there's a little bit of a how do we use this? And so as we have launched this, we've kind of went through the how do we use it? Here's kind of what we've found. The agents that are using this as another mortgage company, they've enjoyed it. It saves them money. It saves their customers money. It's worked well. The ones who have really kind of own this are the ones that have taken and used this as a tool in their business, as a true lead generation tool in their business. And those are the ones that have absolutely loved this product.
So just in the lab, just adding up in the labs how much money we saved the consumer was $4.5 million. But I asked you a while ago, I said,
you did.
So if we had 100% of all of our customers using Keller Mortgage on an annual basis, how much money would we save the consumers over what they spend today?
That was a staggering number. Just in 1 year, when we have implementation in 1 year of this, that is $6 billion. Over $6 billion. I had to check my math. So
by the way,
over $6 billion a year in savings to the customer.
Did your jaw drop? The mortgage industry is fixing to change, and you're fixing to make it change. And the reason why is we're going to take all the fun out of it. I'm not trying to protect other industries. I'm trying to protect yours. You are the fiduciary in the transaction. Oh yeah. Those who didn't clap on that one are sitting there going, dang, I'm so conflicted. Exactly. We have a video. Can we play the video real quick?
I was the listing agent on a $500,000 deal, and it seemed like it was falling apart. The buyer basically, after option period, came to us and said, if I can't get another $10,000 in closing costs, there's no way we can make this deal happen. 24 hours later, we had a pre-approval, and sure enough, they were going to be able to save the buyer $11,000.
I gave my app out to probably 7 or 8 people that day. And I get a phone call from a really nice lady. This is a Sunday. She says, hey, by the way, the Stevens family reached out to us, and they said that they're working with you to buy a house, and they're pre-approved. We already did all their paperwork. They're ready to go. Holy smokes. All I did was send them the app, and now here they are pre-approved before I'm even done with the open house, still driving around picking up signs.
Once again, there's not a processing fee. There's not an underwriting fee. It's incredible. We save these guys over $5,000.
My buyer's happy, the buyer's agent's happy, my seller's happy, so of course I'm happy.
Oh yeah. Your local lenders are not happy with that video. So what's next?
I think that's a fun video, to say one thing on that. I think that's a fun video because that really, we have so many great testimonials, and that's what we were looking for, was stories, and in terms of how this really helps an individual's business and what this does. And to just share a number real quick, what we found out with a couple of the labs, just from getting numbers, one of the agents was on that video, in conversion. So we're talking about a lead conversion as a tool. It's increased their lead conversion on internet leads by using this as a tool in their business. It's increased their lead conversion by 30%. That's a huge number. That is a huge number.
That's an earth-shattering.
That's using it as a tool.
Yep.
Something else that they've used this is on open houses. So as they've used this on open houses to cold leads walking into open houses, they had a 10-to-1 conversion ratio into closings. By using this product and putting this in front of that person, that's went down to, for every 4 people that walk into an open house, they have a closing.
Yep.
People who get on this and use this.
Unbelievable.
That's where it's used as a tool. That's where the power comes, with just looking at this from a different way. It is changing the conversation.
Totally. Absolutely. So how do I get involved?
All right, so we're continuing through with our market centers as we're launching out. We're going to continue through with our market center plan and learn what we've taken and change that. The thing we're launching out here at Family Reunion is our next lab. All right, this is our next lab, and putting this in the hands of our people in a little different way. What's going to happen is we are launching out 500 agents that we're going to award access to right here at Family Reunion.
And here's why we're doing it, because when we labbed it with market centers, the challenge that you have with a program like this is the second that you have the opportunity to offer these savings to a consumer and you don't, you've created a liability for yourself. You have put yourself in harm's way. This is the big challenge of the industry. You're a fiduciary to your buyer. If there were a loan that you had access to that could actually cost no money to the consumer and you didn't tell them about it, you need to write on this sheet of paper, class action lawsuit. You're a walking disaster. So what we understand is that we have agents who are conflicted. They have marketing service agreements. They have long-time companies that have helped them, and I totally respect that. So today we're not adding market centers to our mix. We're continuing with the ones that we've done and working with them, but going forward, we're going to bring this out. We're going to let the agent tell us if they want it or not. And if you want it, all you have to do is agree that on every buyer or listing presentation that you make, when you do that contract, they have to sign an addendum that this was presented to them, and they either opted to do it or not do it. Basically, think what the addendum says. Yes, Smokey explained that I could save $10,000, and I decided not to.
Something to
Okay,
that
you
effect,
can
right?
laugh right now if you want, because no one's going to say that. You see where we're going? Say yes. Get really serious, because this is where we're going. Okay?
Absolutely. Can I say a couple things on this? Today, this is launching out. So how we're going to do this is with the individual agents. A couple criteria. They have to have closed 10 homes within the past 12 months. So you have to have 10 closings. You have to be willing to present this to every client. As you just said, you have to be willing to present this to every client.
If you're not, we're not going to let you do it.
And number 3, you have to attend the training on how this works. And so there is a class, 3:45 today in room 205, A, B, and C. That's where we're launching this out. And that's where we're it's not first come, first serve, but that is the process in which we're doing.
345 today, room 205, A,
205, A,
okay,
B, and C.
so let's just a couple other things real quick.
Okay.
So let's look at just a few more things. Number one is, this is what it would show up on the KW mobile app. Right? If you looked at a property, and here's what we want you to see. So here was my aha. I was actually in Colorado, and as I typically do, I wanted to know the home prices in Colorado, right? Now, out of curiosity, for the fun of it, I also try everybody's apps. So I hit the Redfin app. Well, for whatever reason, it didn't show Colorado. It showed me in Texas. But it popped up a home that was actually in my neighborhood, and it said, if you buy this home, you will save this amount of money. And then, of course, I did the calculation if they had used Keller Mortgage, and we would actually have saved them more money than Redfin would have. And that's when the light bulb went off, and I went, hold it just a second. We should do that. So this is the way it would, the calculation is being done on the property, and you can put it in right there.
Absolutely.
If you have the program, it can be put in there.
Right. Fun part about this is with the Redfin, that's how much commission they're taking out. This is how much money they're saving.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. So notice the button here, right?
This is what keeps it my listing, my leads. This is how they have access. This is where anyone you share your app with.
Right, so you want the personally branded KW app, because if they click it, we know that it's you that sent the buyer.
That's right.
That's why in the video, when he said he passed this out to a couple of open house attendees, and then all of a sudden he got a phone call saying your buyer is approved and has been pre-qualified, right? And he didn't even send them anywhere. The person had just left the open house. After he gave them his privately branded app, they hit the button and immediately got pre-qualified. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And they did it for the savings. And who brought on?
This protects your customers.
Okay, so we, just like we teach you, we do our own studies. So tell me real quick about our studies. So here's the first one.
Obviously, we've been keeping track since August in terms of our surveys. What's fun to look at with this is even when we weren't very good, because we've learned as we've went on the agent side, we weren't that bad. We've gotten better, but the agents have really adopted this who have used
this. On a scale out of 5.
It's on a scale out of 5. I did ask that question. Is it out of 5? And it said yes, yeah.
You're doing pretty good. On buyers, how are we doing?
Buyers, same story right there. Same
closing on time.
Closings on time, and in January we hit it 100%. And so,
folks, we track what we do because you have to, with confidence, ultimately know that we are working for you. Our goal is not only to save the money, but not create problems in the process.
Right.
Yes? No?
Absolutely.
All right, we're done.
All right,
sir.
Thank you.